Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. No matter how cold or heartless Wuya was, he could stay idle if Yuan'er was dying. After all, she had been a great help to him. Even if he was without affection for her, he was undoubtedly indebted to her. Wuya furrowed his brows as he listened to the female cultivator describing Yuan'er's condition. After a moment of silence, he said, "Let me out." Pan Zhong and Zhou were taken aback. They were not bold enough to release Wuya from the cave of reflection. They could only look at him helplessly. "Mr. Seventh, it's not that I don't want to let you out, it's... Let me out," Wuya repeated himself. Based on Wuya's expression, Pan Zhong and Zhou knew he was determined to leave the cave. The problem was, even if they had the courage of 10 lions, they would never release him. Wuya did not have his cultivation base and weapon. It was only natural that he was unable to disregard the barrier like Yuan'er did. The atmosphere had grown unbearably tense when a stiff and loud voice rang in the air. "Release him." Wuya and Zhou looked over and saw Duanmusheng hovering above the cave of reflection with his overlord's spear in hand. "Yes, Mr. Third." Pan Zhong bowed. Shortly after, Wuya emerged from the cave of reflection. He looked up Duanmusheng. What shocked Wuya was that Duanmusheng seemed to have a much stronger presence than before. His cultivation base was improving quickly. "Thank you, third senior brother," Wuya said. Duanmusheng shook his head and said, "Forgive me for saying this, but what good would come out of poring over that mess of a question? If you have the time, you should be studying the cultivation theory of severing one's golden lotus. If you can contribute to the evil sky pavilion, the others will, naturally, respect you. You wouldn't be where you are right now, powerless to save the woman you love." Wuya. He was rendered speechless for a moment. He wanted to retort, but he dismissed that idea when he recalled his third senior brother's fiery temper. In the end, he only said, "I'll remember your advice, third senior brother. Go and pay your last respect then." Duanmusheng left through the air after he finished speaking. Last respect? Wuya's heart sank. He knew what those words meant, but he did not dare to dwell on it. He hastened toward the southern pavilion. Pan Zhong, Zhou and the others followed closely behind him. Soon after, Wuya soon reached the southern pavilion. When little Yuan saw Wuya approaching, she went up to meet him. "Seventh senior brother, big sister Yuan'er is dying." Zhao Yu pulled little Yuan to the side and said, "Don't be too anxious, the 3 elders are here." Zhu Honggong looked at little Yuan and said, "Little junior sister, watch your words." The others did not dare to recklessly speak up. Wuya looked at the closed doors. He was about to enter when the door opened with a creak. Hua Wudao walked out. Hua Yuesheng walked up to him and asked, "What's the situation?" Hua Wudao sighed and shook his head. "She has been stabbed by an energy blade, and it destroyed her internal organs. We should make preparations for her funeral." Upon hearing these words, everyone present there shook their heads and sighed. Wuya did not grow agitated, contrary to everyone's expectations. He remained calm as he recalled the scene where Yuan'er had tried to commit suicide with an energy blade during the battle in Liang Province's city. Yuan'er was smart. She knew that Lu Bing or Xiang Lai would have used her as a hostage. She had willingly stepped forward to stall Xiang Lai so Wuya would have time to think of a countermeasure. It was due to this that Wuya successfully snuck up on Xiang Lai. She had chosen to end her life so she would not be a burden to Wuya. Sometimes, Wuya felt that she was foolish to a fault. She could have enjoyed a peaceful life in the palace if she chose to. Why did she insist on getting involved in the affairs of the world? Creak. The door opened again. This time, Pan Litian walked out. He did not look optimistic as well. He raised the wine gourd in his hand and took a great swig from it. Zhao Yu walked up to him and asked, Elder Pan, what's her condition like? Zhao Yu was Yongning's elder sister, after all. She could not help but worry. Pan Litian shook his head and sighed. I've used half of my primal chi, and yet, I couldn't heal her internal injuries. Judging from the angle of the injury, I think she planned it beforehand. She did not want to die immediately, but she did not want to be rescued either. Was she so willing to endure the pain for an extended time just to have a last look at this world? Old Pan, please don't scare us. Is there nothing else you can do? Pan Zhong asked. Do I look like a liar? Pan Lydian asked. Little Yuan pulled on the edge of Si Wuya's clothes and said in a hushed voice, Seventh senior brother, let's beg master for help. I'm sure he's able to save Hekin's sister Yongning. Pan Litian had a keen hearing. He looked at little Yuan and said, even an 8-leaf Buddhist elite can't save her now, let alone the pavilion master. What makes you say that? Lang Luo, who had just exited the room, asked. Without waiting for a reply from Pan Litian, he continued to say, well, in any case, Elder Pan and Elder Hua have a point. Everyone looked at Lang Luo. This was the person who was at the top of the blacklist 3 centuries ago. Naturally, his words bore weight. Lang Luo continued to say, this little girl's energy blade is slightly unique. I think it was poisoned, and the toxin corroded her internal organs. It's difficult to detect, and it'd be difficult to treat once the poison sets in. There are 3 Buddhist healing techniques, the merciful arc of salvation, the bright mirror, and the Buddha's shine. None of them can heal this little girl. Si Wuya walked up to Lang Luo and asked, is there no other way? Lang Luo shook his head. You're the evil Sky Pavilion's 7th disciple and are smarter than most. A smart person should be able to understand our words. If you don't believe us, you can go in and take a look. Lang Luo stepped aside. Who would have doubts when the 3 elders of the Old Age Pavilion were so certain? The others shook their heads helplessly. The evil Sky Pavilion disciples had a good impression of Yongning. They could not remain unfeeling as they watched Yongning die. Si Wuya's eyelid twitched. Little Yuan said again, well, I'm sure master has a way. Come. Let's beg master for help. When Hua Wudao saw how insistent little Yuan was, he nodded. Let's request the pavilion master to come over. Although the chances are slim, we still have to try. You have a point. The pavilion master is skilled in the merciful arc of salvation. Even if he can't save her, he should be able to stabilize her condition for a while. Pan Litian said, do you think the pavilion master has so much free time? We'd better not disturb him. After all, why would the pavilion master, in his old age, waste his primal chi to save a young lady whom he barely knew? There was a chance he would have to drain his life by healing Yongning. Every bit of primal chi was very precious to someone whose great limit was approaching. The others were engrossed in their discussions when a stern and thunderously loud voice rang from behind. What's all this commotion about? How unbecoming. The others turned to look and saw Lu Zhou walking over with his hands on his back. His expression was calm. Greetings, pavilion master. Greetings, master. Everyone fell silent after they greeted Lu Zhou. Lu Zhou stood in front of everyone and scanned their expression. He frowned slightly when he saw Si Wuya was present as well. The southern pavilion is an important place. Traders should not set foot here. Si Wuya kneeled in fear and trepidation as he pleaded, I beg you to save her, master. I'm willing to accept any punishment you mete out. When Si Wuya fell to his knees, everyone remained silent. They knew they could intervene even if they wanted to. They could only watch like bystanders. Duanmu Shang walked over and fell to one knee before he said, Master, I'm the one who released him. He's indebted to Princess Yongning. I didn't think much about it. All I wanted was to give him a chance to say goodbye. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded as he swept his gaze across everyone. He was inwardly shocked when he saw how exhausted Si Wuya looked. He did not expect a mathematical question would torment Si Wuya to this extent. Based on this, he could see how tenacious Wuya was. After a moment, Zhou looked at the three elders of the old age pavilion and asked, "What's her condition?" Hua Wudao, Lang Luo, and Pan Litian gave their diagnoses to Zhou. After getting a grasp of the current situation, Zhou was certain he knew what was happening. Currently, he had 2 critical heal cards and 2 strengthened critical heal cards. It should not be a problem if he wanted to save her. However, he would not easily save her. He asked, "Are you begging me?" Wuya prostrated himself and said, "I beg that you help her, master. Even if there's only a slim chance, please save her life." "Give me one reason why I should save her," Zhou said. Zhou's words stunned Wuya and the others. "Considering that I'm your master, I think I've fulfilled all my moral obligations by helping you survive that mess in Liang province. Moreover, you're a traitor, and yet, you dare to treat me in such a manner. If I don't preserve my own dignity, I'd be too ashamed to show myself in public." Wuya was not stupid. Naturally, he understood his master's words. How could he say his master should help Yuan'er because he was his master? Was that not akin to slapping his own face? It seemed like there was no reason for his master to save Yuan'er, nor was his master obligated to save her. After thinking about it, he finally said, "What are your conditions, master?" Zhou did not answer Wuya's question directly. Instead, he walked to the room. The others made way for him. "It's too early for that. All 3 elders have said that she's beyond help. If that's the case, it'll be meaningless for you to beg me." When he finished speaking, he opened the door and entered the room. Wuya rose to his feet immediately and respectfully followed Zhou into the room. The others waited outside. After walking past the screen inside the room, Zhou and Wuya saw Princess Yuan'er lying on the bed with her eyes closed. She looked frail, and her lips had cracked from dryness. Wuya frowned when he saw this. His thoughts were complicated and difficult to put into words. Zhou stroked his beard and lightly shook his head. "What does this little girl see in you? Why is she willing to go to such lengths?" As he looked at Yuan'er lying on the bed, unconscious, Wuya felt that it was getting increasingly hard to breathe. It felt as though a heavy weight was pressing down on his chest. He kept recalling scenes from the past. They had watched the moon and snow together, finished each other's poems, discussed events of the past and present. Perhaps, it was due to his lack of experience when he was growing up, he was a blank slate and rather obtuse when it came to women. However, when realization dawned on him, it was already too late. Things never turned out the way one expected them to. One could rarely act according to one's wish inside the palace. Wuya did not think he was romantically invested in Yuan'er. However, when he recalled how Yuan'er had disregarded everything, including her own life, for him, he could not act as though he was unaware. His master was right. What did he do to deserve someone giving up their life for him? Zhou walked up to the bed and checked Yuan'er's pulse. In just a moment, he completed his examination. Indeed, it was as the 3 elders had said. The energy blade had damaged her internal organs. According to his initial judgment, if the injury had been dealt by an ordinary energy blade, all she needed was to rest and recuperate. However, it seemed like her energy blade had corrosive properties as well, resulting in her current condition. Her injury and the poison had taken a toll on her. Zhou straightened his back and stroked his beard as he said, "She can still be saved." Wuya was ecstatic. He was about to kneel and plead again when Zhou asked, "Do you really have no idea where the memory crystal is? Rongshi or Rongbei? Since the day I returned to the evil sky pavilion, every word I have spoken is the truth. If there's any lie, I will be struck by lightning," Wuya said. After all, Ji Tiandao was the one who sealed the memory crystal. It was indeed improbable for the others to know where it was. Your plan for the battle at Liang province was meticulous. If Zhenghai was there, the Nether Sect would have won. I'm curious why Zhenghai wasn't there? Zhou asked. According to the original plan, eldest senior brother was supposed to show up. Then, I thought of the variables and decided to take precautionary measures. Zhenghai can be considered one of the greatest variables. So long as nothing happens to eldest senior brother, the Nether Sect will win sooner or later, Wuya said. Do you think that Zhenghai has the means to take down the divine capital? Zhou asked. There's no need to take down the divine capital. Are you that confident? Wuya was slightly taken aback. However, he said, Lu Gu is an incompetent ruler. It's only fitting for us to march against him. Incompetent ruler? Zhou had never concerned himself with the palace. Back then, when he came acquainted with Emperor Yuan'er, he found Emperor Yuan'er to be capable enough even if he was not the best emperor. Why did Lu Gu turn out to be an incompetent ruler? After Lu Gu ascended the throne, he never attended any of the court sessions and never cared to govern the empire. He has been researching the secrets of life and the nine-leaf stage all this while. He's the true mastermind behind the disappearance of the fair folks, Wuya said. Zhou frowned. Wuya continued to say, there are records stating that riding on Chenghuang can allow one to live to 2,000 years old. To search for Chenghuang, Lu Gu massacred the people of Fish Dragon Village and drowned the village in blood. After that, he fished the corpses from the bottom of the river for a decade in search of Chenghuang. To find the secret of the nine-leaf stage, he went as far as laying down 10 terminal formations in many cities and experimented on cultivators alive, killing them in the process. He was the one who ordered the Black Knights to attack Upper Prime City. Lang Luo was with the Black Knight once, and he can verify this. Also, the 30,000 floating corpses of civilians in Nine Tune River. That's enough. Zhou interjected. He knew what Wuya was trying to say. Wuya was trying to emphasize how cruel, brutal, and incompetent Lu Gu was. He could tell as much from the battle at the Obedient Villa the other day. There was no need to convince him further. Lu Gu was not affected in the least by the death of the second prince, Lu Huan. It was clear how cruel and heartless Lu Gu was. Are you trying to be the great hero who brings about a great change in the world? Zhou asked. I don't have such grand ambitions. That's what eldest senior brother has in mind. I merely wish to understand one thing, Wuya said. And what is that? Zhou looked at Wuya indifferently. Wuya looked up and said at a moderate speed, I want to know why the Great Yan's imperial family remains in power for so long. Also, I want to know the secrets of the Great Yan's imperial family as well. Zhou frowned again. He thought Wuya would mention Zhenghai somewhere in his answer, or perhaps, something about the memory crystal. He did not expect Wuya to be focused on the imperial family. Was that the reason why Wuya entered the palace as a grand tutor? Why would Wuya have such strange thoughts? Wuya seemed to know Zhou would be baffled by this as he said, the 8-leaf stage and 10 terminal formations aren't enough. He paused before saying, if you don't believe me, I can have someone from the darknet deliver the core information here. Zhou said, even if you find your answer, what then? At this moment, Yuan'er suddenly launched into a coughing fit. Upon seeing this, Wuya kowtowed and urgently said, please save her, master.